Hey, what's up, everybody? So, first off, I appreciate you guys being here, allowing me to, teach you, teach you this game, give you this game, and help you to get financial freedom. So, but first, guys, let me apologize if you are receiving this subject to masterclass again, if you've already bought it, because of my slide malfunction that I wasn't aware of because my screen is full. I can't see. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. I do apologize. And got you this product as fast as possible. So today I'm going to be giving you a lot of game here. All right. In this one video. And then you will have documents that come along with this. We're going to go over these documents, but what we're going to cover um, is the contracts for a subject to transaction, right? Acquiring the property by taking over the existing debt. Then we're going to also cover the documents, the contracts for a lease option, your exit strategy, how you sell that property and make your money, right? We're in this to make a little bit of money. Also, what we're going to go over is lead generation, right? That is step 4 in our process. So you're going over part of step 2 in the 7 steps to becoming the bank. And then you're going over step 4 in the 7 steps to becoming the bank. And then we are also going to go over one of my negotiating documents that help you to negotiate these transactions. I'm also going to give you guys some calling scripts, inbound and outbound, that will help you with subject twos, right? Failed listing call script, and then also foreclosure call scripts. Okay. And then I'm going to give you my client assessment document. All right. That helps you to when you're in front of the people, it's a framework for you. So you can stay on point with the conversation, get the information that you need, and then also you be conversationally negotiating. That is how we negotiate. We do it a bit different because we're taking over the existing debt, guys, and we're getting this property for little to no money out of our own pocket, and then also no credit checks, right? No W-2s, none of that stuff. And just so you guys know, one of my 19-year-old students in Memphis, Tennessee, just got his first property under contract, guys. Yeah, got his first property under contract. It's looking good for him. Um, Man, I gotta fix some stuff here. I've been out and about trying to get another property. Give me 1 minute, guys. So let us first kind of dive in. I'm going to go over some other stuff with you guys too, right? Because one of the myths that they try to use to keep us out of the game with subject to is the due on sale clause. So we'll also be talking about that today, right? I'm going to give you guys this game, and I want to let you know that this strategy, it has completely and utterly changed the trajectory of my life. Seriously, there's no other way I can say that. It's changed everything, man. I had always had a dream of getting into real estate investing, but I always thought to myself, I've got to have money to make money, or I got to have this good credit. Banks are never going to loan me the money. I got to have a financial backer, all of this stuff. So, my friend, if any of you guys know my story or don't, my friend who is now a doctor and he's a lifelong friend, we had always talked about getting into real estate investing. I was going to be the entrepreneur. He was going to finance it because he had always planned on being a doctor. And then he finally made it. Banks were giving him a hard time borrowing money. So I kept pushing through because that's just what I do, man. Obstacles are good for us. So I kept pushing through, and yeah, just made it happen, man. Made it happen. So we are we're gonna get into this so you guys can get some of this game as well. So let's take a look here. All right. Got them to work today, guys. I know what I'm doing. So we're gonna be playing the game like the wealthy and the elite. All right. Like I said, they bury these rules away so that we can't have access to this stuff. But let's take a look at the documents that we need for a subject to transaction. First, you've got your standard purchase agreement. Okay. And all of our documents are standard, guys, all right, with all of them. And it's not a big old thick thing of documents like when you're actually closing a traditional mortgage. It's like signing your life away. This contract package for subject to for the acquisition, it only has 16 pages total, guys. All right. Your standard information release form, limited power of attorney. That is pretty much in essence, we are our seller as it pertains to this property, right? When it comes to conveying it, selling it, that's what convey means, to sell this property. We can effectually convey it. So that means we can negotiate liens, all that stuff to get them taken off so that we can sell this with a marketable title. Standard seller acknowledgement. All right. That's the CTF, cover the family letter. And then the due on sale acknowledgement. All right. And then we've got one other document, which is the memorandum of contract. We get that signed on all of our deals. So let's dive in here. First, we're going to go over the standard purchase agreement. Now, this is different. You can't just use any old standard purchase agreement with a subject to transaction because the verbiage is different. All right. When we do a subject to, and understand this, for a subject to transaction, we don't need a bank. We don't need realtors, inspectors, none of that stuff. The only thing that we need, and it just depends on what state you're in, is a title company and an attorney. So in some states, you may need either or, either a title company or just an attorney. Like where I live, you can do it that way. Usually use both for the abstract continuation. And then in some states, you do need both. So that's all you need though. And finding them, it can be difficult, right? Because not a lot of people know about this strategy. I was just talking to a realtor that I know in my city. I happen to see him in passing, and he's like, hey, how you doing, this that, and I see what you're doing out here, it's good. He's like, I talked to some people, and they're like, oh, that's not right what he's doing, he's taking advantage of people. And I was like, man, those people are just jealous because they can't get the deals that I'm getting, right? And he's like, yeah, I was telling them, these people are going to foreclosure auction anyway, and that's the truth. See, we help distressed homeowners. Like, I'm a foreclosure specialist, so these people are going to go to sheriff's auction and not get anything. I come in, put some money in their pockets. I actually get movers to do the heavy lifting. I actually have paid a person to help an older lady pack her things. I didn't have to do any of those things. And I put money in her pocket. So, guys, don't let people talk you out of this and all that crap, man. We are helping everyone that is involved. And we do not lie to people. We don't manipulate people. We don't do that. Okay. And we'll talk about the three people that you're going to run into when like in a foreclosure situation, right? We'll talk about that, but understand that we are helping everyone. Don't let anybody dissuade you from this. So, starting at the top, this is important. This note here, this is a legal and binding agreement for the purchase and sale of property. The parties here too are urged to discuss the purchase or sale with an attorney before you sign. We tell them, hey, we want you to talk to a professional, right? A certified licensed professional in your state. We want you to do that. 9 times out of 10, most people don't, guys. That's just the way it is. They don't have a lot of money. Lawyers are hard to get a hold of. And then you're dealing with a poorer class of people that lawyers are extremely hard to get a hold of. So it's just tough. But we help these people. So, guys, if you are using this for the wrong thing, and I get wind of it, yeah, it's not gonna be good. But also, if you're using this for the wrong thing, the universe knows, God knows, and you will have to pay for that. You absolutely will. So that's just word to the wise. So up top, number one, the following agreement to buy and sell real property is made between, and then your seller. You put the seller's name. Now, listen to me. If that person is married, both people have to sign. Even if they're divorced and that hasn't went through, or they haven't transferred the deed out of their name, you've got to make sure both people sign. Otherwise, that sale is not going to go through. All right. Put the address of the seller. Now, your buyer's name right here. Okay. You can buy a subject to in your name. All right. You can buy any type of property in your name. I recommend that you, at the very least, do it in an LLC. All right. Damn it. Do it in an LLC. That way you're protected. We want to protect ourselves, our assets, our kids, all of that stuff, the things that we've worked hard for. So you do it in an LLC. Beyond that, I recommend that you buy in trust. Okay. And that is for the due on sale. Now, the trust packet, that's a whole nother packet. And a whole nother training, honestly, but trusts aren't extraordinarily difficult, but you can get an attorney or even sometimes the title company to create that trust for you. Okay. So you're good to go with that. All right. But the trust that negates that due on sale and it gives you anonymity. Trust. I love trust. I buy all of my properties in trust, whether that's a subject to or not. But you're going to put, and I'm going to tell you how you sign too, right? Because you sign differently for an LLC. You want to make sure that you're protected, right? Personally, because we don't personally guarantee this debt. So you put the address, or I'm sorry, the buyer and or assigns. I'll get to that. So you just put your LLC right here. No names should be here, right? If you buy it with an LLC or a trust, right? You put that right here. Then it says and or assigns. That word is extraordinarily important for us, okay? And I'll tell you why here soon. Address of the buyer, you want to get a PO box for your LLC. I actually recommend that you get at least a bare minimum of a virtual office. That way you got a physical address. All right. It just makes you look more professional with that physical address. And a lot of things online with LLCs, they don't accept PO boxes. So it's good, especially like Google Business. You got to have a physical address. I remember I learned that the hard way, man. I tried to set up my website on Google Business, and I had a PO box. Well, it's my LLC is to another address, but I also had a PO box. Man, I put that PO box in. They suspended my account right away. I had to go through some stuff to get that thing get it reopened. So here, seller agrees to sell and buyer agrees to buy for the purchase price and upon the terms and conditions stated herein, the real property with all buildings and other improvements thereon and all opportunities thereto in the same condition as they were on the date of buyer's signature. Reasonable wear and tear accepted. Okay. So we buy as is, sell as is, but we don't want them tearing up the house, man. But if you come in and help them, they're not going to tear your house up. They do that for like foreclosures when they're going into foreclosure and it's about to go into auction and they got to move out. Man, people will tear that house apart. So you're going to put the because sometimes right here or sometimes up here the address of the seller, they live in a different spot, right, than the actual house because they've had to move out. So real property to be purchased, you're going to put the legal description. You can get that legal description downtown at your clerk of court's office. Okay, if it's not the clerk is going to direct traffic for you, so you can always, that's your fallback, call the clerk, okay, for your county. But the legal description, that's going to be like the treasurer's office or the recorder's office. Okay, all this stuff is public information, guys. Sometimes, like where I live, it's not all that big, and there's not a lot of people that look like me that do this. So sometimes they give me a hard time. I remember the first time I wanted a legal description, the lady asked me what for, like what did I want it for, and I wanted to like tell her none of her business, but I didn't because I understand that this is about relationships, and we're going to be seeing these people a lot. So don't be rude or anything. All right, guys. But I just told her, yeah, I'm looking to buy this house. I'm an investor, so I'm doing my due diligence, and that was it. The street address. So boom, here's the stuff included in the sales price. Um, Real property shall include all items permanently attached. And this is just the stuff that's going to stay there, your washer, dryer, TV, if it's going to stay. So you'll have that in there. I haven't really had to change any of that stuff up much. Oh, real quick too, just so you guys know, I use these contracts still. So these contracts, you're not going to be able to type on them and stuff. You're going to have to copy them and paste them to a blank document. So that way you can then edit them the way you want to. Okay. Also, it's recommended that you get these, highly recommended that you get these looked over by a certified, somebody who's certified in your state, licensed, a lawyer, preferably, to look at these because I am not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a realtor. Okay. I'm not licensed or certified in any of that stuff. I'm just a go getter. So this is for educational purposes only, but it has changed my life. So that additional approximate purchase price. Now, this is important, super important. This word right here, approximate. That means this is the approximate price. So it implies that it can be changed because it's not just the purchase price. It's the approximate purchase price. So this number can be changed, and I'll show you how here soon. By initial deposit submitted. So people think that that's going to be like your earnest money deposit, right? Your EMD. And guys, I have never ever put down more than $50 earnest money deposit. All right. You don't have to put down no 5%, 10%, and all that stuff. No, because we're helping these people. So they could care less about a deposit. They just need that help. Um, some people put, a little bit of deposit and then more later. I've never done that. So balance due at closing. Then you put your balance. Now, for example, my student down in Memphis, right here, he put 8,000. He didn't even do a deposit. Didn't he? It wasn't even a deposit on it. He put 8,000, right? Because that's what he's buying it for. So that's what will be due at closing is the 8 grand. Now, section 4, subsection D, right here is what makes this a subject to contract. All right. Subject to first deed of trust balance. Lender. Boom. You put the lender, their name, right? Loan number. Sometimes you have that, sometimes you don't. The amount of the loan right here. That is the amount that we're taking over, guys. Okay. That's the amount that we're taking over right there. So that number is important. And we're going to get all that stuff from the lender. So you get the interest rate. Is it a fixed rate, adjustable rate, right? Monthly. What's the monthly payment? Then including, does it include, is it a principal and interest payment only? So you mark that. Or if it's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, well, that boom, boom, and then you fill that out, and then you fill that out. Sometimes they'll have a large chunk in escrow that is very rare. So yeah, right here, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. You just check them. Now, sometimes people have more than one mortgage on a property, so subject to second deed of trust balance. If there is, it's the same thing. This is just a second position lien, but we will have to, we'll be paying that as well. Now, approximate, here it is again, approximate total price to be paid must equal purchase price. So right here, so that's even if, yeah, the purchase price, you've got to put that there, that counting your deposit, if you put one, all that stuff. This is going to be that where the 8,000 goes again, though. You do not put your loan amounts. You just leave the loan amounts right here and then right here. You do not, I repeat, do not put the loan amount in this purchase price because we're not paying that. The title company will know right here, based off that subject to right there, what to do to close it. It's the same. It's nothing extraordinary, guys. They don't contact the bank. They're not supposed to. It's not they. No, they don't contact the lender. Now, right here, this note. This is important. Right here. Look at this. The purchase price may be adjusted by buyer in buyer's discretion if the actual loan balances for the first mortgage and second mortgage, if applicable, are different from the amount disclosed by seller. Right there. Right there. That's where that approximate purchase price comes in. It's approximate because when we verify this with the lender, sometimes you'll talk to a prospect and you'll ask them, well, are you behind? Because we buy more than foreclosed houses. So you'll ask them, are we behind? Are you behind? You know, and someone will say, no, they're not behind. And turns out they're $5,000 behind. And we've already agreed on a price. So that's why it's approximate, right? Because if they're $5,000 behind, that changes everything. Also, they may say, yes, I'm behind, I'm behind 5,000. Turns out they're behind 7,000, or maybe they're behind 3,000. If they are, we're going to be fair with them and pay them what they're supposed to get paid. But so we trust everything, but we trust, but we verify everything. Verifying means going to their lender, calling their lender, and doing what we have to do. And then boom, right there. That's it. You verify it with them. The lender's going to give you the business, let you know, because you are the limited power of attorney. Deposits, initial deposits. I recommend that you do not do a deposit. Like, you don't have to. You don't need to. Do not offer that. This is not traditional real estate. All right, guys. Escrow account, seller shall assign to buyer at no cost to buyer, seller's escrow account. So that escrow account, that is what is held by their lender. The escrow account is for the taxes and insurance, because that insurance is usually paid, every by the 6 months. And then also the taxes, usually it's once a year. So they keep that in escrow for you off of the payments that you make. Condition of premises, buyer represents that buyer has examined the property and is satisfied with the physical condition, subject to inspection contingencies if applicable. So that's if you, put some stuff there like, if the furnace is out, whatever, or if there's foundation issues, or it's contingent on a foundation inspection, things like that. Neither seller nor any representative of the seller has made any representation or promise other than those expressly stated herein, which buyer has relied upon in making this agreement. Inspection contingency, right here. Inspections shall be completed and results reported to seller on or before 5 p.m. on, boom, you put the date. If you want to have that inspection period, you can. Just depends on if they need to, if they're going to auction, then if we have time, cool. If we don't, well, then we got to get her done. And then this allows the buyer and, our team to come check out the property, or our contractors, whoever it may be that's associated with us that will take a look at the property. This is what allows them to do it in a contract. Understand, guys, our contracts mean everything, right? They give us power and they take it away. So it has to be in the contract. And for the go-getter families subject to contract, it's in there. Have the buyer initial that right there, just so we know that they actually read this portion, right? Whether they read it or not, they're going to initial it. That statement regarding lead-based paint, guys, that is a federal law right there for any houses built prior to 1978. There's a lead-based pamphlet that you have to give them, and you can get that off the internet. Just Google it and you print that off. Okay, none special. Closing date. This is the thing. Now, when we buy houses, we don't like to use our own money at all if we don't have to. Okay, so I always recommend that when buying a house, the go getter family way by becoming the bank, you give yourself 30 to 45 days to close. So if I meet with this seller on December 1st and we come to an agreement December 1st, I'm gonna let them know that I will be closing on December 30th. And that will give me time to do inspections and do everything else that I need to do in order to get this deal done for them. But during that 30 days, we are going to be marketing that property, right? We're going to be marketing that property so that we can actually, get our money and then also use the down payment to catch up whatever back payments there may be and pay the seller out any equity that we have agreed to pay them. All right, that 30 days, because we'll say with that, and I'll go over that. I'm going to go over that later, what we do. So I just want to go over this paperwork now. Warranty deed, warranty deed's the best deed that you can get. It guarantees that the seller must convey that. We can buy a property with liens on it. All right, if we choose to. It's a different type of deed that you would do because it's not a warranty deed. That would be a quit claim deed. And you can buy those properties and then just keep them forever and rent them out. You don't want to sell those on contract because you have to satisfy that lien before you sell. When if they pay their balloon payment, the person you're selling it to, you have to satisfy that lien. So if we're just renting, we're never selling it. We're just renting it, getting monthly cash flow, like whatever. You can do that if you want. So marketable title, they've got to make sure there are no other liens or judgments on that property. Okay. That's what that is. Adjustments, any accrued loan interest. Yeah, because like there's the prorated amount and all that stuff, like the math that the banks do, the title company and stuff will do that for you. So don't worry about that. Risk of loss or damage. Default right here. If buyer fails to comply with any terms of this agreement by the time set forth for compliance and seller is not in default, seller shall be entitled to the earnest money deposit as liquidated damages as its sole remedy of any type to which seller is entitled, and both parties shall be relieved of any further liability under this agreement. So if we don't close when we agreed to, this is what they get. They get that earnest money deposit. Guys, if these people are in danger of going to auction, close it, get it closed, whatever you got to do, even if you don't make any money on the front end. So what? Get that thing closed. They're counting on us, right? Now, if they are not going to auction, and we can extend that closing, well, we've got a relationship with them, right? We've established this relationship because we were helping them. So, I've done this before too, where I had to extend that closing date because I just was not experienced enough yet. And the house that I had bought subject to, it needed a lot of updating. Okay. It needed a lot of updating. And I don't do fix and flips. I buy as is, sell as is. So I was initially trying to sell it to families. Right. And it needed so much updating. They'd walk in and they're looking around like, oh, dang, they're ready to run up out of there. So it was rough, man. I was cutting it close. I ended up having to extend that. I called my seller. He wasn't happy, but he needed me, and we had a relationship. And sometimes in those relationships, there are heated discussions. It's just the way it goes. But if you are doing your job and they know that you, one, are pure in your intentions, and then two, that you are giving your all, well, they're going to cooperate. All right, that's just what happens. All right, guys, and we're in control. Remember that, okay? Um, but what I ended up doing was finding a list, going to get the list from the Section 8 houses because those owners are investors. So I got that list. I skip traced the addresses, found out who the owner was, called them, and so happened on my first call, I got my buyer for that particular property. So that's one of the ways we find buyers, guys. Risk of loss, damage. This makes sure that we get paid if there's any in the transition period, anything happens. Now, remember that line up top that said the buyer's assignees? This is it, the assignment clause. This is so important in a number of ways. So first, it's this. We can make money assigning this contract. So we can merely sell the contract. So you're just shuffling some paperwork and you can make 5, 10, 15,000, depending on the house, and the circumstances, if there's equity, things like that. So you don't even go to closing. You just assign this contract. Boom. And you can have your buyer just pay you a fee right then, write you a check here, and then they take over your place in this contract. All right. Now, if you do this on a subject to, you do, because our names mean everything. Our names are worth way more than money will ever be. Having a good name is. So you want to make sure that your buyer has the ability, has the ability to make those payments, right? Know who that buyer is if you're assigning it. Also, this allows you, after or before closing, they can go to closing in your stead. You sign the assignment contract and then boom. But it just leaves those options open for you. Now, when you're selling your house, I'll show you on the lease option, we're not giving them permission to just assign it. See, we can do that without the buyer's consent, or a buyer without the consent of the seller. We don't have to ask them if we can assign it. This is just the way the contract is written up. We want to make sure we put ourselves in the best situation possible. Now, your lease option contract, that's going to be different because we're actually selling the house. So we don't want our buyer to just assign the contract. No, they've got to get permission from us first on that. So this has your memorandum of contract clause in it, letting them know that we might file a memorandum, which I recommend that you always do. Filing that memorandum is your deal insurance, and we're going to go over that. All right. Equal housing rights, all that stuff. Buyer's right to deed property back to seller. So I have never used this. Don't know if I ever will, but just in case, I like to protect myself and the go-getter family. So this is what this is. If buyer determines this transaction is not in its best interest, buyer may, in its sole discretion, I do not have to ask permission, deed by general warranty deed the property back to seller. If buyer elects to do so, buyer shall give seller notice via both certified mail and regular mail. This provision shall survive closing, but in no case extend beyond. Boom. And then you put the number of years there from the date of closing. So if that something happens, man, and you don't never know what can happen, you can just deed that property back. You do have to give them notice, right? But what I would do is I would call them, let them know, hey, things are going wrong. I've got to deed this property back to you. So I just want to give you a heads up. If they're upset about it or whatever, you can still do it because it says it in the contract. All right, guys. But we don't want it to get to that ever, but that is still in there for our protection. Online access. We are going to be taking over their online bank account, right? So all that said, that online bank account, you want to get the username and password set up because we're going to be paying the bank directly. We are not paying the seller and then the seller goes and pays the bank. Absolutely not. We're doing that. So we take over everything involved in this house. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So we take that over. Username, password, all of that. We're making those payments, guys. So remember that. Additional terms and conditions. We buy as is, where is, no repairs expected or implied. Complete. This is the complete agreement. Notice, that doesn't mean much. Time to accept. Sometimes you'll have to leave the paperwork with them, and boom, this, you got to accept this contract by, otherwise this offer does not stand any longer. And that has happened to me before. So, your this is where you sign. Now, the way that you sign with an LLC is you put agent of or manager of, or manager, I'm sorry, agent, and then or you can put the word manager and then you put your signature. Boom. Sign and date. All right. Seller signature. Boom. Seller signature. Boom. This is your notary. You have to get this document notarized. Also, for each person that signs, you need a notary. All right. So you're gonna have to get another notary there. Put it down there for each person that signs. Okay. Just copy and paste this one. Put it down. All right. So that's it for the standard purchase agreement. Now, let's go to our information release. This is the information release, standard information release right here. They're giving permission for them to release this information to us. So you're going to put your LLC and manager Gene R. Boykin. The reason for that is if it's just my name here, then only I can call and get that information released to me. But if somebody on my team, needs to do it, well, they can't because they're not on there. So you want to put your LLC that way your team can do it as well. Okay. This is where the your seller signs, okay, right here. Right there is where they sign. If there's another person on mortgage, they sign there. All right. Now I'm going to tell you guys, you never have your sellers, your prospects filling out documents. Never. You do that for them. And there's a specific reason, a couple of reasons. One, if we're in the midst of a deal and we stop to have the seller fill out these documents that they know nothing about, they have never read them or anything, it's going to ruin everything. It's going to ruin the vibe, it's going to ruin the energy, and it's just going to take much more time and raise a bunch of questions. You don't do that, right? We fill them out for them. And you can even fill it out prior to getting there, right? But not this one. But you can fill them out prior to getting there. That way they just have to sign when the notary's there. All right. It just makes it easier and we're more professional that way. That's why I always recommend you have a clipboard with you and a pen, obviously. So you're going to put the borrower's name, address, city, state, all that, business phone. And this is how you do it. You got kind of, some cases you got to kind of play dumb, right? If the last name is spelled Smith or something like that, you say, okay, Jane, and then Smith. Is Smith with a Y or an I? Look up, and they tell you. Boom. Okay, address. And what's the zip code here again? You get it. And then business phone. Boom. Do you have business phone? You don't have business phone, do you? Okay. Then you get to this next one. And your social security number is, and you look up and you're silent. Okay. You look up and you're silent when you ask for that social security number. Now, some people think you got to ask these people for their social security number. They're not going to give it to me. This, that. I've never had a person balk at it. And I will admit, the first couple of times that I had to get this, I was nervous. I was absolutely nervous. I get this signed on every transaction now, and I'm not nervous anymore because it just went smooth. Like it never skipped a beat, right? But I did it like that. Did it just how I told you. You look up, and your social security number is. That's it. We do this all the time. If they don't want to give you a social security number, you can do it with the last 6 digits. But you know what? If they don't want to give it to you, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, we've got to have that so that we can verify your mortgage with your lender, and then also so we can talk to your lender. So if you don't feel safe giving us that, then we can't take over this payment for you and get done what we need to get done and help you. Right. So I've walked away from deals before, told people I am not the right person for it. And that's the takeaway. If they're worried about are you going to be able, well, what if you don't pay my mortgage payment? I tell them, okay, well, first off, I'm a business owner. We run a business. Well, I don't even tell them I'm the owner. I'm sorry. I tell them we run a business. So it's in our best interest to make this mortgage payment. Otherwise, we would go out of business. First, our reputation would be terrible. Second, any money that we put into this house, if we stop making those mortgage payments, we lose that money. It's not good business practices for us, you know. And then, so the other thing is if they don't, want to go that route, the other thing is, I just tell them, you know what? I don't think that I'm the right person for you, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And if I can point you in the direction of somebody that can help you, I most certainly will. But I'm just not the right person if this is going to keep you up at night. And some people have, I've had a person that knew me, their house was going to auction. I could have helped them, man. And, I just don't feel right having that mortgage in my name still and this, that. And they file bankruptcy and all types of stuff. And I'm like, man, you guys are, I mean, whatever. We don't bat 100, man, but this house is beautiful, beautiful. But people's pride gets in the way. You're going to bump into a lot of delusional homeowners. I mean, you just are. So you put the mortgagee's address. The mortgagee is your seller. Okay. Boom. And then, so that's reference to, okay, yeah, that's the bank and all that stuff. Da, da, da. Creditor, that's for any liens. So you can put the creditor's name right there, boom, boom, and get that stuff. And then once again, sorry guys, I don't know how to turn those notifications off. Once again, you get that thing notarized. All right. And a little pro tip here when getting documents notarized, if you feel like you need credibility with your seller, I always just have them meet me at my bank. and I get my documents notarized in the manager's office, because managers at every bank, they are notaries. All right. And what it does is it just makes you look more official. Like, oh, we're meeting at this guy's bank in the manager's office. He must be legitimate, right? I mean, we are legitimate, but we have to do these little psychological tricks and seeds in order to just make the deal run smoother. So I do that all the time. I just get them signed at my bank, and it just, puts an air of credibility there for you. Okay. So that is your information release form, guys. Now we are on to, whoops, our limited power of attorney. Now, I always tell them, we got to get this limited power of attorney. And this is not just like a regular power of attorney where we have dominion over you and can open checking accounts and all that. We can't do that. This is limited strictly to this property. Okay. It's strictly to this property so that we can do what we need to do in order to solve this. So we'll be able to call your lender, talk to your lender, and pretty much twist your lender's arm if we have to. That's what I tell them sometimes. Um, Also, so that's what I tell them. So you put your name there, and I learned this the hard way too. Just putting my name, and then I needed somebody else to call, and they were like, "Well, it just says your name here." So we can't, you're gonna have to get one signed for them too. I was like, oh my goodness, man. So I told you I put these 7 steps together by trial and error, guys. I mean, that's just what it is, experience. So you're gonna put your LLC there too, but make sure you put your name and your LLC. All right, just in case you have a team or you get a team, because we will have these houses for a very long time, most of them. Right. We want to do the buy and hold, the wholesale and hold, right? Um, put the county, state it's in, the address, right? The physical address, and then you put the legal description. That legal description, make sure it's on point. Sometimes we'll go online, or even on PropStream. I don't know if PropStream has them or not. I can't remember, but you want to get that directly from the county, all right? Because that's going to be the one that you need. So gives you permission to effectually convey this property, all that stuff. You don't have to read this and know this front and back. You just don't. You do want to get this stuff looked at by an attorney though, in your market. All right. You date it, and then you print the full name of the person, that the seller, the prospect, and then you have them sign. Now, if there is a husband and wife, you're gonna have to get one for the husband, and then you're gonna do another one for the wife. Only they sign this. You do not sign this. You don't sign that information release form either. Only they sign it, right? Only your seller. Okay. Here's your notary again, as usual. So that one was pretty simple. Now, next, we are at the CTF letter. Cover the family. Gotta cover the family, man. Gotta cover yourself, gotta cover your assets. That's what we're in this for, to build this generational wealth. Remember that. So, sorry, guys. At least I quit smoking real cigarettes, right? Rationale, God, always trying to rationalize. Need to quit smoking, period. So, anyway, sorry about that. Sometimes I keep it too real. This is your standard seller acknowledgments. Important document on a subject to, especially, okay? Just for protection reasons, right? We want to be fully protected. So we, that's the seller's name. On this day, you put the date, boom, 120, boom, and then the address of the property, to, because it's saying agreed in writing to sell the property commonly known as, and you put the address. And then 2, here's your buyer. And then there's that and or assigns again. All right. That thing is that assigns is important, because this is gonna this document pretty much transfers to them too if you assign it to somebody, right? The terms and conditions contained in the offer to purchase and contract of even date herewith, a copy of which is attached here to further state as follows. Boom. And they have to initial all of these. Okay. They've got to initial all of these. Your seller, ownership of the property. They're saying they're the owner, right? Acceptance. They've reviewed the terms and conditions contained in the contract and have accepted the buyer's offer to purchase property. They reviewed all that and they accepted it. Boom. Good and valuable consideration. We have given them something, right, for this transaction, because you have to have consideration for a contract to be legitimate. In my best interest, they're satisfied with the contract and they've agreed to sell the property because it is in their best interest to do it. Right there, they're right there. They're initialing that thing. Fully informed and not confused. So, some of this real estate stuff, it can be confusing to some. So just want to make sure that they understand. That's why we never use industry jargon, industry lingo. Never. We'll never say the word due on sale. We never say the word subject to. All right. We use specific language. So right there. All right. Satisfied with the sales price. They are satisfied with the price that they got. And if it's less than market value, well, there's some reasons behind that. And there they are. The sale is final. We don't play that back and forth game, guys. This is real estate, okay? Houses are huge, important, man. We do not play no games, none. So the sale is final. But we're helping them, so we have a relationship with them. We are not investors to them. We're more like advisors and consultants, man. I have these people call me about everything, but I help them, And then also, it is important for them to know that this is not a loan, right? We are buying this house. This house is ours. You're not loaning us anything, all right? We're just taking over the debt, saving your credit, all right? Also, contract may be assigned. We can assign this thing. No escrow or closing attorney. So, you can, I don't recommend, but you can close these on your own. I highly do not recommend that you do that. Please don't, as a matter of fact. So right here, they just initial that. Closing documents. If your seller has to sign something else, this is saying that they agree to do that. Copies of paperwork, we've given them copies. And guys, always give them copies. Buyer is entitled to make a profit, guys. We aren't doing this for free. We're good people, but I mean, we got to eat. We got bills to pay. We got kids to support, right? So we're making a profit. Should we not get paid for our time? I've told people, a matter of fact, the farmer that I bought his house took over the debt on it. I used one of my lines on him. I was like, you're probably going to think I'm a cheapskate by the end of this, but I hope we can still remain friends, right? That's that self-deprecating humor that we use for split-second influencing. And, it was upfront honesty too, because we're negotiating. So he's going to, want his price and I'm going to need my number, right? And he and I went back and forth a lot. And then I just finally was like, hey, this is what I can do. Either you can do it or you can't. And I'm not going to keep, because he didn't think I knew. He tried to sell it on the market with a realtor and couldn't, because he didn't want to make the repairs. So I knew the ball was in my court, but we're entitled to that. We told them to have it looked over or talk to an attorney right here. Boom. Financial review advised, have a advisor to seek independent financial advisor, right? Fairly negotiated, right? There was no coercion or anything. No precluding ailments. So they had no physical, mental, or emotional ailments that preclude them from signing into a contract. Some people who are mentally ill, they can't legally sign a contract. So we're just making sure of that right here. They are not under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Then the next one is there's no other promises outside of this contract. What's contained in that, all right? No side agreements, as they call it right here, quote unquote. Also, the seller is not under duress. There's no gun to their head, man. They're not under, they're not under any duress, sorry. And they're fully satisfied with the terms and conditions of the deal, right? They're not like, oh man, whatever. So boom, that's where they sign right there. And they're going to sign this one at closing, okay, at the title company. The only ones they sign with us are going to be that information release form and the purchase agreement and the memorandum, all right? And then you can get that limited power of attorney signed right away, which is what I recommend. So that way you can get to that bank. That information release, it just makes it a little bit harder, but that power of attorney, they have to give you that information. So there's your notary again, all right? And if there's more than one person that signs, you do need more than one notary. Now, the due on sale acknowledgement and agreement. So your due on sale acknowledgement and agreement. So we're going to go over this. Whereas they put the seller's name, boom, put the buyer's name and or signs, of course, is always in there. Your date, both sellers and buyer are fully aware that the deeds of trust securing the property located at, put the address, county, state, all that. Boom, for the approximate amount of, you put the amount, insert principal balance, right, will be paid on a monthly basis. So this is where you put your mortgage balance, the principal balance that you're going to be paying down for them, paying off, taking over. Right, buyer and or assigns, but will not be assumed by buyer. An assumption is different. Your lender, and then you fill out a credit application, show your W-2s, jump through all those hoops, right? And you assume that loan. So now that loan is off of their credit and onto yours. We don't do that, and so we let them know that in this document. Or paid in full at this time of closing. We are not paying it in full. We're just taking that over. All right. Buyer agrees not to take any action that will cause lender to discover that title has been transferred. So they're not going to be calling their lender and ask much questions and all this stuff. No, we got this. Either you trust us or you don't. You guys cannot be desperate to buy a house, because if you are dripping in desperation and it's written all over you, you will not get that house. I mean, lightning strikes. People hit the lotto every once in a while, but guys, you know what? If it's not the one for you, well then damn it, it's just not the one. We move on. All right. Do not need you guys getting tunnel vision on a deal. You know, we want you to work hard for it, but I mean, if they're not going to do it, well then damn it, just hey, I can't help you then. Hopefully you find somebody that can. You know, that's it. And that's happened to me before. And the lady ended up coming back. The one that had 6 days to the sheriff's auction, she came on back. Do on sell clause and deeds of trust, even though payments on the loans were made on time. So it's saying that they can call that loan due even if you are making those payments. Seller understands the knowledge that at closing will fully relinquish all legal ownership of any rights and privileges connected with the property described herein. Because with the subject to, we get the deed transferred to our LLC or to our trust, you know, at closing. When we buy on contract, you don't, but I have a better way of doing that anyway. So but yeah, and then that way is in my buying free foreclosures course. But yeah, so there's that. Let me see. To defend, seller agrees to defend, indemnify, and hold buyer and or assigns harmless from any liability in the event that the holders of the deeds, the bank, holders of the deeds of trust on the aforementioned property are called due and payable. So they hold us harmless if that loan is called due. We see sellers have read and fully understand the provisions contained, da, 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 da. And then at closing, guys, the title company, the escrow agent or whoever's closing for you, they will read that stuff to them. And that boring, monotone, monotonous, yeah, voice, so whatever, like that's what happens. Now, your deal insurance, standard memorandum of contract. This is simply, if they ask what this is, I just tell them, you know, that, hey, Mr. Seller, this is just a document that we're both saying, you know, we are who we say we are. You know, that's it. So they sign this, and then we take this document. This document does not go to the title company, okay? You do not take this document to the title company. You take this document to your county recorder's office, and you record it immediately, all right? That way, what happens with this document is it's deal insurance. So let's just say, because a lot of people, you know, anybody has access to the way we get our leads. They are just not as creative. So some people do find these along with us. So if they make contact with your seller and they tell your seller they're going to pay them more than you said you were going to pay them, well, these people will switch quicker than God knows what, man, for $500, you know, for $1,000. They'll stop answering your texts, stop answering your phone calls, and they'll go to closing with this other person that offered them a little bit more money. Well, I'll tell you what, my word means something to me, and I always keep it. So I'm going to hold you the same. So that's what this document does. So if you do try to back out, once you record this, you've now clouded the title, so that title cannot be passed as a marketable title, right? With that warranty deed. You can't, because we're on there clouding that title. So what'll happen is, and I personally never had to do this, but my mentor has, he made a video of him getting a $7,000 check from the title company for the memorandum of contract. So what happens with that is they'll call you, right? The title company, once this other investor, you know, that's come along and the seller are there ready to close, they'll call you and they'll say, hey, yeah, we see that you have this title clouded, this deed clouded. We're trying to do this transaction. Will you release this for us? And yeah, sure, I'll release it. My fee to release it is $5,000. You know, my fee to release it is $7,000. All they can say is, oh, okay, we'll let them know. That's it. They can't, like, we have this title clouded. It's printed, it's notarized. You're going to notarize all your documents, right? The ones that I recommend that you file with your recorder's office are going to be this one, the memorandum of contract, and then that limited power of attorney. I always do that as well on every transaction, because that can be put on public record that you're the power of attorney for this property. So you're good. So that CTF letter, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. All right. So let's see what we're going to get into next here, guys. Our lease option. Now let me stop here and talk about some stuff with you guys. Now, guys, subject to, people always ask me, like, one, how do I find these properties? And then two, what to say to these people. So the go-getter family, right? We use specific language. You know, when we're talking to them and we find them a specific way, but we're going to go over some stuff so you understand a deal and how it works. All right, what you need to do, because I want you guys to win at this. So, one, it's good if you have knowledge. It's good if you have knowledge of just the real estate industry in general. Okay, you do want to have that. Just that is just good so that you sound like you know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, that's important. Um, to be professional. Okay, and then secondly, they trust us. We are their advisor and, you know, consultant, right? So, all that said, here's some of the reasons why sellers do this. Okay. One, we're providing a service to these distressed homeowners. Right. Most of the time, we're going to be their last option because not a lot of people know how to do this. I was just talking to that realtor, and he's like, "So you're the only one in our city that knows how to do this? Does anybody else like do this stuff?" I was like, "No, man, I'm the only one that knows how to do all that I personally know how to do." There's some like the We Buy Houses Cash guy here. He does some wholesaling and stuff like that. I think I don't know if he's done some lease options or not, but he calls me to for advice, right? Like, and I'm not tripping. I'll give it to him, man. He's no competition. He just has a backer with millions of dollars, right? But he pays so much interest. Like he's a slave to that too. So I'm not. I'm free, man. I own my stuff. So anyway, also this is going to save their credit from being destroyed, right? If it's especially if it's going into foreclosure, or it's not in foreclosure yet, but I mean it may be. It depends on their finances. So we're helping them out, and we're just taking this load off their back. People just don't think that they have these options, and then us being their last option, like the house that I bought from the farmer, he had tried to put it on the market with a realtor. He just didn't want to make the repairs, didn't have the time, whatever. So that's how my realtor actually called me with that one. Got to have a relationship with realtors. You're not going to look for houses that are for sale on the market by a realtor, but you do want to have a relationship with realtors. Um, you know, you can that's a whole different conversation, wholesaling with the real. So we'll talk about that some other time. A lot of times these people are in hopeless situations. All right. There are so many things, man. Inherited properties or stuff that comes with that. And we'll talk about that a bit. But this is my thing, that I tell them that you're going to get money to start your new chapter in life. Right. You're on to a new chapter. Leave this behind you and start over. And now we're going to put some money in your pocket so that you can do that. Um, Again, if it has liens, we can do it. Now, a lot of times, a property, it won't have enough equity in it for them to sell it on the market. See, if it doesn't have equity, two things have to happen. You either the seller either has to come out of their pocket to pay the realtor and the other fees associated with that. And these fees, rule of thumb, that the fees are 12 to 15% of the actual selling price. That's what the fees equal out to in that. So that's a lot of money, guys. Most sellers don't want to write a check to sell their home. And if they don't have equity, that's what they would have to do. Or they'll have to raise the asking price so high so that it covers the those fees, that they just can't sell it because they're asking for too much. And they have no choice because, they can't afford to pay the realtor. Well, we can step in and we don't use realtors. We can buy that thing whether there's equity or not. Maybe they don't want to make the repairs, right? If they don't want to make those repairs, hey, we buy as is, sell as is. You can even take what you want and leave what you don't want. We'll take care of that mess. You don't have to fix this thing up and all that stuff. And when I'm negotiating with them, I'll tell them, well, if they want to get too much or they don't want to let us take over the debt, well, hey, why don't you just make those repairs, update that kitchen and bathroom yourself, and I can refer you to some realtors. I know some good realtors. You can put it on the market and get retail price. You're gonna have to wait, go through underwriting for 45 days and have a bunch of people coming in and out and showings and all that stuff. But hey, you'll get the price that you wanted minus those fees, right? They get to thinking about it. They don't want to make no repairs. They don't want to go, pay those fees and all that stuff. So that's one of the takeaways. But they don't want to make repairs, or maybe they're carrying two mortgages, right? They bought a new house. I like those two mortgage ones, man, because they bought a new house and they just can't keep making payments on that second mortgage and they can't sell it for whatever reason. Well, we can take it over. They inherited a property, right? And they can't afford the debt that came along with it because the deed to a house, it doesn't have the mortgage on there. So you can transfer it as many times as you want and that mortgage stays with that person. So if you're long, long, long great aunt dies and passes you a house that you didn't even know her. She had a mortgage on that house. Well, the deed will transfer to your name, but you have to continue to service that debt, right? And just think, if you get a house passed down to you and you already have your other bills that you're dealing with, paying your rent, your car payment, stuff like that. Now you've got a surprise mortgage that comes along. You can't afford that. Well, hey, we'll put some money in your pocket and we'll just keep paying that mortgage for you. No big deal. Um, Now the benefits of a subject to are this: you can slow flip the property, right? Because we're not using a big chunk of our own money for the acquisition, and then we're not borrowing the money from the bank for the acquisition, and then we got to pay that bank back, and they're breathing down our necks, and we personally guarantee this debt. So we can do a slow flip, man. If we want to get this thing and we can make afford making those mortgage payments on it, and we want to do the work slowly, we can do that because it didn't cost us hundreds of thousands to acquire it. Also, you're going to get positive cash flow every month, man, for years to come, right? For decades, because when we do our exit strategy, the rent to own exit strategy, um, oh man, my calendar's messing up. Sorry, guys. One second. Everybody's scheduling with me on Monday. All right. So sorry guys, I'm scheduled. Got interviews on Monday with three acquisitions managers. We're launching 12 cities nationwide as acquisitions using subject to and creative financing. 12 cities, guys. I was just doing landscaping, a year and a half so ago. So anyway, positive cash flow. So, when we do it on rent to own, these people that we sell it to, they normally can't qualify for a loan. So they're going to be paying us more than what we then have to take to the bank and pay for the mortgage each month. So just say your mortgage payment is 700, right? And that's with your taxes and insurance, because mortgage payments are always much lower than rent. So we will do it on rent to own for $1,000, clearing 300 bucks a month, right? So that's positive cash flow. And the way we sell, the way we do rent to own, we're not landlords, so we're not responsible for maintenance and repairs. The seller remains personally liable for that debt, for that existing mortgage. So it will not destroy our credit, man. The bank still has the number one lien on the property until the mortgage is paid off. So just understand that. And then, guys, we don't have to qualify for a new mortgage, right? We don't need that lump sum of money. And then we can buy as is, and then we can sell as is, right? So there's a number of things that we can do too with the subject too. So it's good to understand that you know the system, the foreclosure system, or the mortgage system, right? We can get that loan modified, right? If they're way behind, they got so much back payments, like we can get that modified and get those back payments put on the back end of that mortgage. Okay. And then also we can get a forbearance. I got that on my last house. They were $50,000 in back payments behind. They hadn't paid in 3 years, since August of 2018. I got a forbearance. I didn't have to pay any of that 50,000, and I haven't had to pay that mortgage in months. I don't have to pay it for 18 months, guys, that mortgage, because of the forbearance. Then I'm going to get it modified after that. Win-win-win situation for me. I mean, I got a house literally for free, but I know the banking system when it comes to mortgages. I know I can get that forbearance if they have not done that yet, right? But you have to ask for these things through your bank. Um, so also I'm gonna put in here um my 7 steps guidebook to becoming the bank. This outlines a lot of this stuff. It's the fundamentals, guys, and you've got to know the fundamentals of the business. So with subject to, the deed is in our name. And more, more precisely, it's under our control. And we control and maintain and dictate all financial transactions and aspects concerning this property, right? We control it, own nothing, control everything. It goes against the seller's debt to income ratio, and they'll ask you about that. But the solution to that is if they're worried about that, if you use a servicing company to pay that mortgage through, so you pay the servicing company then pays the mortgage company, and they don't charge that much to do it. In 6 months, you get something from the servicing company, and sorry guys, acquisition person. So use that servicing company. After 6 months of showing income that we're paying it, they will give them proof of that, and the lender, whoever they're trying to get credit from, will have to knock off 50% of that debt on their debt to income ratio, 50% of that payment, and then 12 months later they will knock off 100% of that off of their debt to income ratio. So this is why I love becoming the bank, man, because we have so many options, and this doesn't go against our debt to income ratio if we ever have to get credit taken out, right? For whatever, getting a car, whatever it is. This doesn't go on our debt to income ratio. So we're winning all the way around, right? All the way around. Um, now, hold on, guys. Okay. All right, sorry guys. So that's how you get that off. The seller with a subject to, they have no recourse if we default on the payments. That means that they cannot foreclose on us to get that property back and try to sell to someone else. All right. The only way that they have recourse is if we do a wrap note, which is a wraparound of the original mortgage, and then you file that at the recorder's office. So now their mortgage is in a second place lien position. That wrap, okay. And so they can foreclose on us if we do not pay. All right. So that's another thing. Like if they're really worried about that. And from what I know, a wrap, if you do a wrap, that takes that off of their off of their debt to income ratio immediately if they have that wrap on there. All right. And then we can do wraps too. If you're in Texas, I recommend that when you buy on subject to, that your exit strategy is a wrap mortgage where you just create that second mortgage and then you add points. So if the APR, the annual percentage rate on the original mortgage is 3%, well, you put 5% for your note, right? Your mortgage, your wrap note. And then you're making that extra 2%, guys, because we give them a 30-year mortgage. So study up on mortgages. That'll help you. So that's how that kind of works. Now, how do you find these? How do you find these? Let's talk about that. That's one of my favorite things. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys again, and we're going to look at our finding prospects document. Now, you guys, this finding prospects, it has this finding prospects, this document, we've gotten $3 million in assets in about a 6 or 7 month period of no competition leads with this finding prospects document, and how the go getter family goes about finding these properties. All right. So we have a specific method of finding no competition leads. Okay. So here's we're gonna start. These are suspects. It goes suspects, suspects to prospects, and then researching these prospects. Okay. So you're gonna search your legal section for pre-foreclosures and foreclosures and divorces and probate. That's your legal section of your local newspaper. This is all public record, and these are all published in local publications. All right. And then also properties, if you're going to search Zillow for sale by owners, and properties that are on the market, we want them for on the market for at least over 60 days. And, better yet is 90 days, but 60 days will work in this type of market. It's a seller's market. So properties are getting snatched up right away. So if they are on the market for 60 days or more, we know that there's a problem to solve. Okay. And I think I talked to you guys about divorces and probate. When somebody gets a house passed to them, there's debt, or a divorce, somebody leaves, there's only one income when there was two. So, also, search the classified ads for estate sales. Estate sales are good, and for sale by owners. You want to search those classifieds. If you're really doing this, you got to get out there here and look. We want no competition. Also, research rental properties to assess if they're tired landlords. Okay, and the way that you do that is, you go down to the clerk of courts and you ask them for the eviction notices. Okay, your eviction notices. What? See, that means that they're not getting paid rent, right? Because they're evicting someone. So an eviction notice will have, and that's a court proceeding, and they'll have the address on there of the property. So you just skip trace that to find out who the owner is. And then we know 9 times out of 10, once we research it, usually it has debt on it because most landlords are mom and pop shops. Two, three, four houses, and they borrow money from a bank to get those properties. Well, they use that rent to service the loan, to service that mortgage. And if they have to evict somebody, that means they have not been getting rent. Right, but they've been paying that, mortgage. So, they might be using their credit card or anything. So we can come in there and we can solve that for them. So we track them down and we let them know what we can do. You search the Craigslist, you search Craigslist for rentals and for sale by owners. I'll tell you this, guys, Craigslist is really good. Craigslist is really good for sale by owners. Okay. So sorry, got that acquisition. I'm telling you, we go hard, man. So that's your tired landlords. And I'm going to tell you guys this, pick a motivation and become a specialist at that. All right. Motivation being foreclosure, right? Because we want motivated sellers. We're not just popping up on anybody asking them if they want to sell their house and let us take over the debt, because then you are you're leaning on luck, right? You're relying on like winning the lotto. We don't do that, guys. We give ourselves the best chance to win. So pick a motivation. If it's tired landlords, you want to know everything about the eviction process in your market. Okay. If it is vacant houses, you want to know everything about the city, doing code violations and stuff, right? Because these vacant houses, they're unkept. They could be getting code violations, all of that. So you want to just become an expert, right? In that, or if it's foreclosures, cool. Divorces, well, the divorce proceeding, probate, understand the probate proceeding, all of that. Okay. So you're going to search Craigslist. Also check the county clerk for those eviction notices, social media groups, and sales pages. And then driving for dollars, guys. Driving for dollars. You're going to be looking for overgrown grass, unkept stuff, mail piled up, newspapers piled up on the porch, all of that. And I always say this. Anytime that I'm driving, I am driving for dollars. All right. Then you just run the comps on the Zillow calculator. If you don't have PropStream, now I will leave a link for a 7-day free trial of PropStream in the description of this video. Okay. But if you don't have PropStream, you can run those comps on Zillow. Zillow is great for the comps, man. Then what we do, right? We're checking to make sure this suspect, we're making them into a prospect. So we're researching them. So what we do is we cross-reference the public records. So you're gonna have to find a local county public records website for whatever market you're in. And 9 times out of 10, they will have a website where you can pull up, the address, the ownership information, the transaction history, taxes, all that stuff. So you do that, you find that. And then that what you do is you figure out the ownership of that property for sure and the transaction history. We want to see what they bought it for, when they bought it, right? Then we can kind of know, is this a flip? Right? If they bought it not too long ago and they bought it for kind of a low price. Now they're trying to sell it for a high price or whatever. Or did they get this house passed to them? Did they get this house in auction? The deed will tell us all of that, the transaction history and the ownership, guys. We just want this information. And then you're going to Google the owners to find out information about them, right? Google's my favorite website, guys. I always play around like, hey, I know the website that will give you all the real estate secrets. Write it down, right? Google. Well, Google does tell you everything. So you Google the owners to find out information, right? And I'm going to go over this deeper when we get down. It's in this document. Then a free way to skip trace people is you just go to truepeoplesearch.com, all right? And I put this in some posts on my social media, and people are like, oh, it's not free. It's not free. Well, they're clicking the wrong thing, all right? When you Google True People Search, the first couple ones that come up, those are paid. They pay Google to go to the top. So make sure it's the actual True People Search because that is absolutely free, guys. And then we're gonna research our lead by social media. We go to their Facebook, right? Because up to this point, we know that that lead is in foreclosure or they're divorced or this is a vacant house, right? So we can go to their social media and take a look into their frame of mind. This is going to help us when we're negotiating, knowing these things about them. And we'll be able to ask them calibrated questions that we know the answer to already. So then we can see if this person's going to be truthful with us, going to be honest, or if they're going to try to be deceptive. If they are trying to be deceptive, don't just call them out on it like, "Oh, no, I looked that up and that's not true." Don't do that. That's confrontational, all right? We just we just register that information. Oh, okay, they lied. Now I know I have to verify absolutely everything that this person is telling me. You just know how to move forward, okay? PropStream, I highly recommend PropStream. I do because PropStream, it's going to be easier to find out if these people have a mortgage. PropStream saved my life. When I saw that on PropStream, I was like, oh my God, I'm not, I thought I was just going to do the 7 day free trial and then like print out like 10,000 leads. So that way I had a ton of leads, right? And then when I got my first house, I could afford it, this, that, whatever, man. I found the money to pay for this because um PropStream, that telling me that they have a loan on there, that gave me the upper hand because I wouldn't know if a house is for sale, they have a loan on it. My realtor, she used to be like, when she'd send a property, I'd look it up real quick and then I'd tell her stuff about it. She's like, "Oh my God, how are you finding out this information? It's just like you just know everything. Like you just know." I was like, hey, magic powers. So guys, PropStream is cool. And then we'll talk about the research, my method of researching. It does help you negotiate. So researching prospects, and then soon, guys, there I'm gonna have a video tutorial with Burton from PropStream on my YouTube. It's a webinar for PropStream. It's going to tell you how to look up these properties, why it's important to us and our strategy too, guys. So it's going to be beautiful. So PropStream, you can look up tired landlords, zombie houses, pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, probate, divorces, for sale by owners, and much, much more. All right, failed listings, all that stuff. You're going to cross-reference the ownership data though with local county websites to make sure PropStream is up to date because sometimes PropStream has not been updated yet on a particular property. So it's older information. Well, we just got to deal with what we got, guys. And then you're going to ask yourself, is the house paid off? Right? If it is, we can use a different strategy, but that's not what this masterclass is about. So we want to know, is it paid off or is there existing debt? If so, how much is that debt? Right? You just got to know that. Then Google or truepeoplesearch.com, the owners, to find out any information you can on them, their employment, any other residences, any deaths in the family, right? Anything like that. When a couple of times I will see an obituary come up when I'll Google a person. Well, it turns out that their name is in there as a relative. So then I kind of can surmise that they got a house passed to them potentially, right? Or a spouse died and their income has dropped. Then you're going to go to their social media, search the owner to find out personality traits and relatives. You can even go on the people's pages that are related to the prospect to gather data. If they have social media, we can usually get a pretty good picture of who they are and what they might be going through, right? And we get deeper into that. My lead generation person, a member of the Go Getter family, has added to this document, and it's glorious, man. This way we'll be well informed as possible when we contact the prospect. We want the ball in our court. When looking for prospects, it's important to look for certain indicators that tell us these properties can be bought using creative financing. So here are the places I want you to look. Okay, your newspapers, legal section. For pre-foreclosures, you want to look at failed listings, and you get that from a realtor. Those tired landlords, divorces, probate, foreclosures, FSBO classifieds. You can look at Zillow's for sale by owners, For sale, the days on the market again, 60 plus. All right. Join local Facebook groups. And here is what you put in. And then your city. So like homes in and you put the city. That'll be a Facebook group in your city. Almost guarantee that. Then you put your city, homes for sale or rent by owner. Right. There you go. So here's all of those. The indicators to look for are as follows: low equity to no equity, some equity and high equity, upside down first mortgage or upside down second mortgage, which means they owe on that mortgage more than the house is worth. All right. They're in foreclosure. They have multiple judgments or liens. We can do owner occupied and non owner occupied. So, right here, it tells you this. Just the method. All right. You'll need to cross reference all your leads with public records. And guys, if you are in a good market, you should be able to get 25 prospects a day using these methods. Here's what walks you through everything that you do on True People Search. And this is from a guru right here of finding stuff out, man. Like my lead generator, Jess, man, she finds out more information than I do. And I got her on my team later on. Like she is awesome. She's like an FBI agent straight up. So that's your process right there, okay, for lead generation. Um, so next, I do want to talk to you about some negotiating. Right now, I'm going to give you guys this document just because I want you guys to win. Okay, so we're going to go over this just real quick so that you guys can have an idea of what to do. So you're going to use these questions, when negotiating with clients. So when these active listening responses, these work so well when you're listening to them because we're using those interrogatives, right? Who, what, where, when, why, and how. All right. So, how has it been dealing with your lender so far? Boom. You ask them that, and that they're just going to start going, right? And we know that. And then once you ask them and you're listening, your active listening responses to show them that we're listening and that we care, right? This will help you so much. These are statements, but you're going to say them with a question tone. So it seems like people treating you with respect is valuable to you. Right? Boom. Right there. She's like, "Oh my god, yeah, the way that account manager was talking to me." Um, it seems like you don't like that you had to talk to 6 or 7 different people and still didn't get an answer. Well, yeah, I can't get any information. That's a good thing about dealing with me. I'm not a faceless bank. When you call that number on that card, you're gonna get me, and I'm gonna be able to answer your questions. We're not some faceless lender, with, a million employees. We're just like you, right? Um it seems like you value. I remember I said to one of my people, I said this one. It seems like having those movers to do the heavy lifting is important to you. That's what I said. Seems like having the heavy lifters to do that, or having the movers to do that heavy lifting is important to you. Oh my god, yeah, that would help so much. So you're just gonna have to pick your timing with these. And I tell my students to practice these, right, on their everyday because negotiating is a way of life. So you're gonna pick 2 of these a day to practice so that your timing is right, right? The way that you deliver it, your delivery is right. Boom. Also, it seems like you're reluctant to, right? So it seems like you're reluctant to move out of this place. Well, yeah, I don't want to move out. A lot of memories here, all that stuff, right? Because guys, listen to me. You're going to run into 3 types of people, and I've said this before. The first type of person you're going to run into is the type of person that doesn't care anymore. They're just sick of it. They just don't care. They're not opening letters. They're not answering more phone calls. They're just going to write it out till the sheriffs come, and the sheriffs will come and kick them out. I do not recommend that, guys. I don't. I tell people that all the time. Don't do that. Seriously, because it could get ugly, right? When them sheriffs come and you don't know when they're coming and you're not prepared. But hey, that's what you're gonna do. It's your house. Go for it, right? But I mean, I deliver it different than that. We got to use empathy. But then the second type of person, they don't want to move. They do not want to move out. It's just that something happened in life, right? An unexpected expense, a medical emergency, and they had to stop working because of the medical stuff, or they got demoted at their job and they're not making as much money. So something happened and they just need more time. All right. Well, my acquisition company is called WeBuyAndHelp.com. Okay. So we buy houses and help people. So the help people part comes in like this and in many other forms. But I understand the foreclosure process because that's what I'm a specialist at. So with that, um, I'll ask a person, well, what have you done so far, to slow down this foreclosure? And once they tell me, based off what they tell me, I'll know what they can do. Oh, okay, well, you can still get a forbearance. All you have to do is call your lender and ask them for it. That's it. Right. Or you can still get a delay of sale if that foreclosure has already went through, that foreclosure judgment has came through. So they're foreclosed on. Boom, it's over. It's been proven. You know, you can get a 90-day delay of sale once that sheriff's auction is set. All you got to do is call down to the clerk of court's office, ask them for it, and then they can fax you a form if you're not in the city or whatever, but you just sign up a document and boom, there you go. You got a 90-day delay of sale. I did that for a lady who had a duplex. Man, that thing, man, I wanted that thing. Anyway, she didn't want to move out, so we don't manipulate people into selling their houses. So I did that for her and I let her know about that. Well, she did get the 90-day delay of sale. And during those 90 days, anything can happen. Well, guys, it's like a year and a half or so later, and she still lives in that house to this day because of that 90-day delay of sale. It's up on my acquisitions website, webuyandhelp.com. She did a testimonial for me because I helped her. It's okay. So, and then also that third person, they just don't care anymore. They're tired. They are tired of it, selling a house, buying a house. It's the second most stressful thing. It's rated the second most stressful thing that we'll do. I don't even know what number one is, but so they're just tired of it. They just want to, see how much they can get and move on. That's our person. That is our person right there, because we'll get you some money in your pocket and get you some money to move on with your life. Get to doing what you're meant to do, man. Start this new chapter. Sorry guys. So, with that, you know, we're gonna get that one. We don't bat 100, but hey, that's what it is. So, also, your probing questions. These are important too, okay? So with that right here, what are we trying to accomplish? The key word here is we, and then what? As you see, these are all open-ended interrogatives. What are we trying to accomplish? And your tone matters, guys, all right? So, what are we trying to accomplish? We. It's not what are you trying to accomplish, because that implies they're on their own. What are we trying to accomplish implies that we're in this together. We're a team. Let's get this thing done. And then, how is that worthwhile to you? Right. So when they say, this is why active listening comes in, but when they say something, well, how is that worthwhile to you? Right. And then, well, what's the core issue here? Right. What's holding this up? What's holding this up for you? What do you need to get done? And then, guys, you can elaborate on these too. This is just for training. This is just a framework to teach you, and then you can elaborate on these. We're supposed to get better, right? How does that affect things? If they say, "Well, my husband's, got to work for 3 more weeks and this that," well, how does that affect things? Boom, there you go, and let them answer. Make sure you're quiet after you ask these questions. Well, what's the biggest challenge you're facing? And then let them think, guys. Make sure you're quiet. Um, And then you can ask them, when they say something about whatever it is, man, you got to active listening, how does this fit into what the objective is? And then, again, that goes back to if you ask what are we trying to accomplish here, and they don't they give you a wishy-washy answer, you just ask the question differently then. A couple of seconds later, right? Okay, get into something else. Well, what's your objective? Guys, we gotta do this if we're gonna do it. Gauging, I don't know why that says team, but I'm gonna put that's prospect or seller. So how does this affect affect the rest of your job situation, right? How does this affect the rest of what you had planned prior to this, right? Oh, that is not. Somebody came in here and messed with my stuff. That's what that's supposed to say. How on board are your family members? Only ask that if you have to, right? What does your family see as their main challenges in this situation? Open ended. Heading for the close here, right? So what are we up against here? What is the biggest challenge you face? How does making a deal with us affect things for you? All right. What will happen with that? What will happen by you making a deal with us? What happens if you do nothing? Boom. That is super important right there. What happens if you do nothing? Because people will try to hem and haw and act like, they're going to get something done. No, I got time, and they got 2 weeks left. Well, I got time. I'm going to get it done. I'll fix. Well, what's going to happen if you don't do anything? What then? Right? We want them to feel that pain, bring that pain to the surface, emphasizing our role. Okay. So, it seems like getting that money in your pocket, to move on is important. Question tone, guys. And then you can tell, this is emphasized. Well, it seems you feel like my company is in a unique position to help you in this because realtors couldn't or whatever, right? So these negotiating questions that I'm giving you here, these things are gems. All right, gems. Let's go back to that. And so now we have acquired that property. All right, we've acquired that thing. So once we've done that, also in that guide, there's land trust stuff in there, and there's explanations for all of this stuff, and there's more negotiating in there. There's more magic words and all that. There's a man, just use it, guys. Use that thing. And then there's the words not to say. All right. So now the lease option, it is your exit strategy. Okay. And I'm gonna give yeah, guys, that lease option, it's your exit strategy. So it's a rent to own. It's a rent to own transaction. All right. And that's how we want to sell because we want to do the buy and hold, guys. That's the best way to build wealth is a buy and hold. All right. So buying and holding, you're gonna create monthly cash flow. That is how you free up your time and get financial freedom. If you just go for one chunk of money, like a wholesale transaction, well, to make more money, you've got to do another transaction. You've got to do another transaction. So, that being said, worry about that monthly cash flow. Don't worry about that. If you've got your down payment from your buyer is only going to pay the back payments and pay what you promised the seller, well, that's all right. Especially when you're going to make 400 or 500 bucks a month. That's your car payment. There, you just got a asset to pay for that car, which is a liability, right there. Oh, it's perfect, man. It's perfect. So the lease option with the lease option, guys, we're not landlords. All right. You're not a landlord. And let me share this screen with you here. Sorry. Oh no. Okay. Oh, I meant to talk about that due on sale for you guys. So the due on sale, how to protect against it real quick. All right. The 1983 Garn St. Germain Act. All right. That has there's 8 reasons why a person or the bank cannot call a loan due. Right. One of them is divorce. Right. You get divorced, one person leaves, you transfer that deed into that one person's name. You can't call a loan due for that. A death. Right, because you're going to transfer that deed and that mortgage is going to stay in that person's name, or interfamily transfer, 3-year lease with no option. We don't want to do that. Then the key is estate planning here, estate planning. So, estate planning, it's for rich people. And estate planning, when you transfer your property into a trust, that is estate planning. So you can transfer that property into a trust, and you name that trust. If the address is 123 Main Street, name that trust 123 Main. All right. Name that trust 123 Main. That way they don't know who owns the trust. They're going to assume that it's the seller, that owns that trust. And then we have the beneficial interest of that trust. All right. It is as simple as that. Then also, when you insure you're subject to this question, it took me so long to get this question answered that it almost drove me insane, man. When I already had my subject to, and I didn't have insurance on it. I had to track it down because I didn't have a mentor, man. So by that time, but then I got one. So yeah. So insurance. First off, I want you to know if you're a sub or a Go Getter family member, we can insure. My insurance broker and agent, they're Go Getter family members. They can insure in all 50 states, and they'll do what we need them to do with the lender in order not to trigger that due on sale. So, the insurance that you want for subject to, because remember, guys, the mortgage is still in their name, so they have to be on the insurance. So, what you're going to do is you're going to get you're going to get a non-owner occupied insurance policy, right? And that the primary payee is going to be your LLC. It's going to be your LLC. That's why I recommend you get that dang LLC. And here's a tip, all right, just because I love y'all. To get an LLC, if you don't have money to pay a lawyer or whatever to figure it out, all you do is go into Google, my favorite freaking website, and you go into Google and then you just put the letters SOS and then the abbreviation, the two-letter abbreviation of whatever your state is, hit enter, and that'll bring you to the Secretary of State's office. And then you just follow the breadcrumbs because everybody's website, state website is different. So you just follow the breadcrumbs from there, but it's going to have that business setting up a financial institution or setting up a business. And you click on that and follow the breadcrumbs, guys. So mine was SOS and then space and then IA because I'm in Iowa. Hit enter, brings it right up, brings it right up. You boom, started just like that. Simple as that, guys. It's that simple. So I wanted to, wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. So let's go over this here. All right, we're going to go over the lease options now, right? Our exit strategy. This is how we sell the property and make money. All right, this is how we sell it and make money. And then we're going to go over those contracts, and then that's it for your subject to masterclass, guys. Boom, guys, familiarize yourself with those contracts and all that. All right. So the lease option one, we are not landlords, guys. Being a landlord, it is not fun. It's not fun. Now, people can have success at it, but you got to be, man, it's tough. It's a lot tougher than this. So we get all of the benefits of a landlord and none of the headaches. We're not going to fix leaky faucets in the middle of the night or unclogging toilets. Just not doing it, guys, because our buyer is responsible for the maintenance and the repairs. Remember, they are buying this house from us. So they're the homeowners, right? So they're going to fix that stuff up. Now, I will say this. If something's happening, say the roof is leaking, right? And it's dripping onto something that's going to just be damaging and they won't fix it. We are going to go and fix that. All right. We're going to pay for it. We're going to fix it because it's our house, he said, still, right? So we want to keep it in good condition, but in our contract, that protects us. We're protected. We can put that on the purchase price for them. So they're gonna, we're gonna make it happen. Trust me, we're protected. I'll tell you guys that all the time. Now we're going to deal with all different types of buyers, and you can sell this to all different types of buyers, man. People with a family with challenge credit, right? But they've got money for a down payment. Contractors, real estate investors, and then for sale by owners, right? Like we're going to deal with these types of people, and you can do a lease option. Just get that down payment. Boom. And then you set your monthly payment. I'm going to show you how to do that on the contracts, but that chunky down payment is what matters because that down payment, once we get that, if this person comes in, and this hasn't happened to me yet, but I've heard some of my colleagues, they'll get a down payment. One person gave one of my colleagues a $25,000 down payment, came in and didn't pay any monthly payments for 3 months. So he had to get that house back from him. He had to run a forfeiture to get that house back. On a lease option, you can evict them. That's easier with a lease option. So that said, yeah, they paid 25,000, which is non-refundable. So they didn't get that back. So guys, if somebody comes in, doesn't pay for 3 months, that 25,000, that's going to pay that mortgage payment for you. So don't even worry about it. And then this way, right, when we sell to a family, this is the thing. This is why I say we do a buy and hold. And then when I say we do rent to own, people are like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Well, I nerded out on this stuff and found out a lot of information. So there's a 90% chance that your buyer will not exercise that option to buy. All right. This is why I always set my option out 5 years because life comes in phases, right? I might have $25,000, $30,000 right now, but 3 years from now, guys, my girlfriend left me, my dog died, and my car broke down. And I got demoted at my job. So now I can't afford those monthly payments. Well, guess what? person's not paying you monthly, you get that house back from them, and that down payment's non-refundable. Those monthly payments are non-refundable. So you get it back and you get to do it all over again and get another down payment. And maybe these people even improved your house for you. Now, guys, we are the bank here and we do care about other human beings, man. Like, you're not just gonna do people wrong. So if they haven't been paying their rent on time, they've been terrible tenants or whatever, go ahead and get that house back. Get that house back from them. Now, if they have been paying, right, they've been paying on month all every on time every month, the whole 5 years, but they cannot make that balloon payment, we can work with them. We can say, you know what, hey, I'm not going to kick you out just because you can't make this balloon payment. You've been paying on time. What we're going to do is we're going to set this out for another year, give you some time, right? Boom, 2 years, whatever you want to do. You're the bank. So it's up to you, but you got to treat other people right. Um, but that's how your house is going to sell potentially 3, 4, 5 times. You're going to get that down payment every time and then that monthly cash flow every time. And then you're not a landlord. So you just sit back and collect your rent. Get paid, man. It's beautiful. Every time you lease option a house, there's that non-refundable option consideration. And that's pretty much a down payment, right? But we do not call it that in the paperwork. That is important. And we shoot for at least $5,000 down, right? 5 to 15,000. But my average down payment on my last three is 22,000 each, right? The option fee, it goes towards the purchase price if they exercise that option. So keep that in mind, guys. All right. Especially on that debt that you owe the bank, right? Keep that in mind. That option fee that they gave us, it goes towards their purchase price that we give them. So just make sure your numbers are right. Um, the monthly cash flow, man, lessee pays us market rent rate, um, that we want to be a minimum of $300 or more than our mortgage payment. So we want to cash flow at least $300. You can up your monthly cash flow by making the lessee pay the insurance and taxes on the property too. That significantly raises your monthly cash flow. All right. Again, we don't do repairs, man. We buy as is, we sell as is. That's just the way it is. A lot of people, it saves us money, it saves us the risk of a contractor. Now you can do that with this strategy if you want. That's your choice, right? This is just how I operate. Um, because I don't like to gamble on contractors, man. I've heard some horror stories. I've actually fixed some horror stories and made a lot of money in the process. So, guys, we just have to become transaction engineers, pretty much, is what that is. Because there's so many different ways that we can get a deal done, just so many different ways. Uh, And guys, just think about this, right? After 5 years of using this unconventional process, we will become actual millionaires. You can, right? But after 5 years of using the conventional process, you're millionaires, but on paper, because you owe the bank, guys, and you're running back to the bank. You're just glorified employees of the bank. All right. So let's look at these documents here real quick and get into this money, man. Let's start making some money, y'all. Love it. Here we go. So okay. So your your standard option to purchase, we have two different documents, two separate documents with the lease option on the selling end. All right. The standard option to purchase, you have to have this because one document is for us, then that gives us the right of disposition with the property, meaning we have the right to sell it, however way we dispose of it. That is our right. Okay. The other document, though, that gives your tenant, your buyer, okay, that gives them the right of quiet enjoyment. Okay. They get to enjoy that property quietly without you bothering them, right? Just popping up on them and stuff. Like, no, they're buying this property. They got the right to quiet enjoyment as long as they stay within the parameters of our contracts and our tenancy agreement. Okay. So you put the date right here on the seller slash landlord, boom, right there, as management, and the buyer slash tenant, boom, for good and valuable consideration for the real property located at, there's the address, under the following conditions, option to purchase. All right, here is where you set your option time. Okay, so I do 5 years. You can do 1 year, you can do 3 years, 2 years, whatever. You can do it when your son graduates from high school. You can set that option for whatever, man. So I do 5 years, right? Boom, through, from here, from, through, boom. And then it's dependent again upon full compliance, right? We can take this thing back out after 30 days if they missed a payment, a monthly payment. I'm gonna give you guys another pro tip because this right here, it says the rent must be paid exactly on the date it is due and as written in the separate rental agreement, or no rent credit will be applied towards the purchase price. There is no grace period. At the time the option is exercised, the full purchase price shall be, okay, so you put that full purchase price right there of what that's going to be. Um, and then it's going to be less than minus the down payment. So, um, we get our monthly lease payments on the 28th of each month. We set them to be paid on the 28th, not the first. If these people pay on the first, they are considered late. We do that because people have car payments, credit card payments, who knows what payments on the first, right? So we on the 28th, we get paid before everybody else. Right. So that way, if they have to pick and choose who gets paid, we're the first ones on their mind, right? If they're in a crunch, we're the first ones on their mind. We want to get paid first, guys. We got to protect ourselves and our family too. Okay. Um, the seller landlord agrees that upon exercise of the option, the buyer tenant shall be credited in escrow with from each monthly rental payment. Okay. So you put the amount that they'll be credited with. If you, I know a person that does lease options with that down payment that goes sometimes it goes towards the purchase price, sometimes it doesn't, and then the monthly payments, they don't go towards the purchase price at all. So we can say out of that monthly payment, $100 a month will go towards the purchase price, right? 200, 300, whatever you want. Okay. And then the monthly, so how much out of that? $100, we'll say $100 out of that monthly payment, from each monthly rental payment of, and then you put the monthly rental payment right there. Okay. That way the math is easy, man. And you get to put your spread, your spread that you're making, your monthly cash flow. Exercise of option, to exercise the option, buyer tenant should give written notice to the owner as soon as possible during the term of this option agreement. Option consideration: the buyer tenant will pay the seller slash landlord a non-refundable option consideration of, boom, that's your down payment right there. Apply full for the above residence, and it will apply in full to the purchase price if the option is exercised. This consideration was paid on, and then you put the date. Now, here's right here. This is why it's bold too. Should the option not be exercised by the tenant slash buyer, there will be no refund or credit of any monthly rental payments or option consideration, and have them initial right here. Boom, initial that thing. And then you got your closing costs, prorations, assumptions, and refinancing costs. Those are going to apply to the seller. The closing costs shall be those costs incurred in conjunction with closing escrow and shall be paid at the close of escrow as follows. Boom, your property taxes, all that stuff. All closing costs shall be paid by the tenant buyer. Seller landlord shall not pay for points or special costs on the buyer slash tenant's financing. We're not paying for their financing. Okay, this is important right here. Remember that assignment, subletting, and assignment. This contract, it cannot be assigned or sublet to a third party by the tenant buyer or anyone else without the landlord, the seller landlord's expressed permission, written, guys, written permission. So we are, you just kind of got to do that at your discretion. You have them initial right here. I initial, they initial right here. All right. We both initial this thing. Property condition right here, as is condition. I don't let people smoke in mine when I lease option either, guys, because smoke will tear it up. I don't like pets either. So that's up to you. Remedies upon default. This is what happens. This section right here, if they default on this lease. All right. There's all your legal mumbo jumbo, but it matters. Financing disclaimer. The parties to this agreement acknowledge that speculation about the availability of financing or the assumption of existing loans towards the purchase of this property is impossible to predict. Therefore, the parties agree that these items shall not be a condition of performance of this agreement, and the parties agree they have not relied upon any representation of warranties by either parties. All right. Acknowledgement. The undersigned buyer, all that stuff. Oh, all right. So that's your standard option to purchase. You have to, this is what gives us the right to disposition. Okay. The right to disposition. Now, this is their right to quiet enjoyment right here. This is your tenancy agreement, standard residential tenancy agreement. Remember, everything's standard. So here we go. This is just your, tenant landlord agreement, right? So they agreed to pay the tenant the townhouse municipality described as boom boom premises for use as residential premises only. Premises are more particularly described as follows: neither premises nor any part of the premises will be used at any time during the term of this lease by tenant for the purpose of carrying on any business, profession, or trade of any kind, or for the purpose other than as a private single family residence. You want to have that in there. Now, this agreement, subject to the provisions of this lease, apart from the tenant and the tenant's immediate family members, no other persons will live in the premises without the prior written permission of the landlord. So, guys, we're the bank, so we can let them do it or not. It's up to you. These are just in here, right? You don't have to like super duper enforce these if you don't want. So, no guest of the tenants may occupy the premises for longer than 2 weeks without the prior written consent of the landlord. Whatever. That's up to you. Now, this one's big, right? Because a lot of people have pets. No pets or animals are allowed to be kept on the premises, without landlords, blah, blah. But you can do, pet deposit and $30 a month or whatever you want to set that at. This is just what I set it at for a house that I leased. And then this is what we agree to supply here. Well, boom, kitchen range. Here's the dates. All right. When it commences and then when it ends. Okay. Any notice to terminate the tenancy must be provided to the landlord 60 days prior to moving out. There's no security deposit. Remember that, guys. Do not, I repeat this, do not take a deposit on top of that option consideration. If you do, you are now a landlord. Again, you are now a landlord in the eyes of the law. Don't do that, please. All right. I do not want you guys to put yourselves in a difficult position. Okay. So, with the consent of the landlord, after the natural expiration of this lease, a new tenancy 1-year terms will automatically be created and renewed between the landlord and the tenant, which will be subject to all the terms and conditions of this lease, but will be terminable upon, given 30 days. Bam, right there. Rent. Boom. So if you're going to fully furnish this thing, you put what's in there. I don't do that. It costs money. Security system, whatever. Subject to the prevent. Oh, guys, I just thought about this. I forgot to tell you on that insurance for subject to. So you get the non-owner occupied, and you get your LLC as the primary, and then you get the old owner as the secondary insured. Okay, but then you have to have your insurance company cancel the old policy for you with the old insurance company and send the new policy to the lender. All right, to the seller's old lender of the mortgage we're taking over. All right, I'm sorry I forgot that, guys, but that is what you need to do. Okay. The tenant will pay Gene Boykin, cash your check money order on the 28th. So you just put your name, boom, right there, the address, boom. Here's your quiet enjoyment. Here it is, right here. The landlord covenants that on paying the rent and performing the covenants contained in this lease, the tenant will peacefully and quietly have hold and enjoy the premises for the agreed term. Right there, that's what it is. Part of the lease tenancy created by the lease and the performance under this lease, and all suits and special proceeding under this lease be construed in accordance with and governed to the exclusion of the law of any other forum by the laws of states of Iowa. This is why I say get these looked at by a lawyer, okay, in your jurisdiction, a licensed professional, okay. Severability here, maintenance. This is important, right? This is saying what they do for maintenance, okay, and what happens if they don't do it. All right, care and use of premises. Again, this is important. All right. Look, this is a smoke-free section right here. All right. So, guys, you got to be on top of this stuff. All right. Um, this is you can enter the premises if they breach the contract or this agreement. If they breach or the expiration, they will surrender that property. So, depending on who your tenant is, right here, if the tenant desires to make any changes or additions to the premises, please forward a written request to the suite in above lease on page 2, so your address or whatever. But it just depends on it's at your discretion. So, when I'm selling to an investor, I tell them like, man, make your repairs. Do whatever additions, whatever you want to do. Go ahead, upgrades, updates, do it, man. You're an investor. This is what you do, right? You don't have to write me or anything. It might be in here, but I just tell them you don't got to write me. But for some other buyers, you might want to tell them like, okay, you need to let me know when you're making some sort of improvement. Let me know. hazardous materials, boom, rules and regulations. This is just saying they're going to obey it. That lead warning, guys, that lead warning, remember? 1978, right here. You can find that online. Super simple. Just put it in Google. General provisions. This is how you get your house back. All tenants are liable to for others' acts, omissions, or liabilities pursuant to this lease. Boom. Boom. Right here. Duly signed on her hand. Duh, duh. You're gonna sign, you're gonna sign. Signature, landlord, driver's license. Bing. Right there. Now, you do not have to get this notarized, but you can. You probably should. So I just recommend notarizing all documents. It just makes things so much easier for you. Easier in the sense that if you have to go to court, well, guess what? I've got these documents notarized. So, guys, we're going to close out here. I appreciate you getting this training, right? Getting this masterclass and, trying to take charge of your life. And this is the strategy that will do it. Okay. So, reach out if there's any questions. You are officially members of the Go Getter family now. All right. I love having you. I hope, to one day, maybe even see you at our round table. All right. We see you at that round table. It's going to be on. I love it. So, guys, if there's any questions that you have, don't forget to join our Facebook group and post those questions there. Your questions are always welcome. Your ideas, anything like that, advice. If you can answer questions, please do post. All right. So I'm gonna get up out of here. But until next time, hey, let's get to it, y'all. I'm gone.